Good day, everyone, especially to you, Miss Anna Kalskusin. Welcome for our discussion for today. And my topic is about micro teaching topic. So first, we are going to define what are the learning objectives of this lesson. So we are going to define what is micro teaching and the concept of micro teaching and its content, and to improve our skills of teaching, abilities and knowledge of teaching skills in the classroom. And we are also to know what are the objectives of micro teaching and its important and characteristics. Also, we are going to define the needed in teaching. We visualize and define micro teaching cycle and its step. So what is micro teaching? This is the training of a teacher of its teaching process, techniques, and using teaching skills, teaching strategies of a teacher's trainee, that we are going to need feedback by the students and any peers or classmates, which to know what are the things that we need to improve the trainees or teachers and can be used in the classroom. So this is invented in the mid of 1960s at the Standard Universities by Dwight W. Allen. So next, these are some examples of micro teaching. First, giving a mini lesson on a specific topic. Teaching a short section of a large session, demonstrating a new technique. This involves of giving a session in the class or giving examples or giving a short review of the class in a larger section or showing and demonstrating technique skills and technique of strategies of teaching process. Second, teaching is a lesson segment and a fractions using manipulatives. Third, modeling how to solve our problem. Micro teaching is modeling how to solve our problem. This is the way that the trainees to know how to solve a problem solving skills, to improve his skills of solving problems or being a creative teachers. And next, this is usually using different strategies to demonstrate how to multiply two-digit numbers. These examples of micro-teaching is to know what are the process of multiplying two digits to look the the possible the possible happens in that demonstration. So the next also is the conducting a mini lesson on summarizing key points from a text. This is the example of micro teaching, which is giving an examples or the short review or summarizing of the key points of the topics that make the students clearly understand and conveniently. And the last examples of micro teaching here in the slides is showing how to use an organizer to write an essay. These techniques the trainees use to organize the platform of the discussions that make the class very easy to and very easy to understand by the students because of the mm, the teaching trainees know how to organize the discussions or writing an essay. So the questions is, why do we need to study micro teaching? Of course, this is very important to gain more knowledge and self-confidence, and it helps to sharpen or it helps to focus on sharpening our knowledge, skills of teaching process, abilities of teaching among students in the classroom base, and this help us to know our skills, understanding, and our relationship among other people. And the next is this is the objectives of micro teaching: to enable teachers, trainees to learn, assimilate new teaching skills under controlled conditions. Second, to enable teacher trainees to master the number of teaching skills. Objectives of micro teaching helps to teaching trainees to master his teaching skills, the process of teaching, the way he delivered his discussion. Third objective is to enable teacher trainees to gain confidence in teaching. And of course, this is very important in teaching process because self-confidence make the discussions healthy or being being a productive class 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 in during sessions. And the fourth objective is to give immediate feedback to modify teaching behavior. Objective of micro teaching is to give feedback by the teaching trainees to modify his teaching skills and behavior or attitude of the way he discussed the lesson. And the fifth is, or but not least, is to listen the complexities that exist in micro classes. To listen complexities or to listen the problems that can be found in the class. Then, so far we are going to go to the next slide. The characteristics of micro teaching. So, characteristics of micro teaching. First, duration of teaching as well as the number of students are less. This includes time of duration of teaching process, and the number of students are maybe large students or the less or. And the second is content is divided into smaller units, only one teaching skills at a time. We are using the one skills at a given session or teaching strategies. And the next is provision of immediate feedback. Then micro teaching cycle, there is a possibility of pre-planning, reteaching, and re-evaluation. This cycle helps the trainees to develop self-developments of teaching and abilities of discussion that make the class fluently. And next is it puts the teacher under the microscope. Then as a fault of teacher is observed. This also helps the teacher's trainee to know his mistakes during the discussion. And the last is the number of discipline can also be controlled. And of course, a teacher's behavior and discipline will be can be controlled during the class. And these are the steps of micro teaching cycle. First, plan. Second, teach. Third, feedback. The fourth is replan. The fifth is reteach, and the sixth is refeedback. Plan is the important of micro teaching cycle because we are going to organize our lesson or topic that we are going to discuss in the class. And the teach is we can observe that the trainee or how he or she going to teach or the use of teaching skills or abilities that he use or he or she use in the teaching process. So the next is replan. Replan is the replanning that lesson or topics or getting out the skill is not important terms of the lesson. So reteach is important also for micro teaching steps because reteach will help the learners or the students will know the discussion about the trainees of the teachers on how or what are the process of learning that he has delivered. And lastly, the refeedback, the most important terms of teaching trainees because refeedback help the teaching trainees what he or she need to improve himself or skills of teaching process. So these are the steps of micro teaching. First is plan. This involves the selection of the topic and related content such as nature. So as I mentioned earlier, plan involves of selection of a topic, and this is the first important during a teaching process. And the second is teach. This involves the attempts of teachers trainee to use the components of the skill. So teaching is using the skills of teaching trainee to to develop him or herself during the discussion, or to to demonstrate the topics that that need to deliver into the class. So third is feedback. Feedback, this term giving information to teacher trainee about his or her performance. Feedback helps the teaching trainee to know the abilities and strategies the way he discussed the topics or the lesson. So the fourth is replan. The teaching trainee replan the lesson incorporating the point of strength and removing the points not skillfully. So replan is observing the lesson that he need to deliver, or to summarize the topics into the class. Then the fifth is reteach. This involves the teaching to the same group of pupils. So reteach is this is knowable that teaching again into the class, so that the learners or pupils were able to understand clearly the discussion of the teacher. So lastly is the re-feedback. This is the most important component of micro-teaching behavior, modification of teacher training, and desired direction in its and every skill practice. This is very important to know the teaching trainee that he or she need to develop her teaching skills and abilities, because came from the students or the learners, that this is very important terms of micro teaching steps and cycle. So these are the references of my discussions for today, and that can be used. Also, you can also search in the Google for more information about my reports. And thank you everyone for listening, and I hope you understand more about my report. Thank you, and God bless us all. Goodbye.